The NPC. One of the most pivotal parts of a good campaign in D&D, Pathfinder, or any role-playing game that's sometimes typically overlooked. Everyone wants to be the hero of their story, but a lot of times it's the pillars supporting them, the friends they make along the journey, that kind of just make those moments. So as we kind of go on this little journey that I kind of just thought up in my really tired haze, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit behind the screen look in one of the most pivotal parts of the D&D experience. All right, let's talk about that. So, what makes a good NPC? Rather, I can kind of categorize them as the what they are versus the who they are. What they are could be like a smith, or yeah, a smith, a tailor, someone who sells you stuff. You don't have to interact with too much. They just have a voice, a reason for being there, and that's really it. You don't really learn about them, who they are, what they do, or sorry, what they are, or yeah, the who they are. Sorry, tired, and I'm also by myself today, so uh, less back and forthing. As I was saying before, uh, you don't really. They're just the dungeon master, kind of handing you things. You don't really have to think about it, and once they're gone, they're gone. You know, they can be replaced by 100 other people, and you wouldn't know the difference. However, when you talk about who they are, that's what makes them memorable. That's what makes them, rather than being just a side note, they become an integral part of the campaign, an integral part of the session, even if you're going that small. But, they change you for better or worse, like the villain. If you don't really know why they're doing it, what's the point? I mean, just a big bad. That's it. You kill him, that's it. It's, kind of lackluster. But when you learn about, who they were before they were this monster of a man or woman or creature, when they still had a heart, why did they do this? Are they actually the good guys in this story? Or are you guys just after the fame and fortune that comes with slaying them? Even though in the end their ideals are of a higher standard than yours. Uh, the way they do it might not be too good, but in the end they are looking out for others. So it's it's a huge part, and a lot of the times players and dungeon masters kind of overlook it, and it sucks because like I love making NPCs. I love giving them separate personalities. It's sometimes hard, and a really good example of that of two of them would be Georgie and Julian, two characters or NPCs that my players recently met in their campaign. Uh, Georgie was a kid from the slums who, because of a grave misunderstanding, they killed a friend of his, and they decided they'd adopt him. And Julian is the common-born prince of Amon. So, getting into who they are kind of just changes them from an orphan, a prince. It makes them almost like the players. It gives them, a reason to be there, not just like I inserted them. No, they're almost as close as I can really get to another living creature. And when I play them, I change into them. I don't just, I say something and then it's not too important and my players forget it. When, like, after they've met each of these, like Julian, for example, like as the session ended, they're like, oh man, that was really cool. They weren't expecting that. And that's what I love doing, All of a sudden, this NPC just, it's just in those quiet moments. Like, it was just, he didn't do too much for them. All he did was sit down, talk to them, take them to a library, and that was it. But it's the in-betweens, the talking about, the hard shit he's gone through, even though he's royalty, the, kind of the ridicule he's gotten through just because his mom was a commoner and but he has to be the prince because he's, the only living heir. And kind of all the tough shit he's gone through because he wants his father to accept him, but he's not sure whether or not he ever will. No matter how hard he tries, no matter what he does, it's always that stern indifference that he, always keeps around him. And for Georgie, he's just like a kid on the slums, and his actions make up for his words. Our ranger Evandra gave him 4 gold. The first thing he did, the absolute first thing he did, was he went to the nearest place to get food, ordered as much as he could, stuffed his face, and then with the gold, with like the 2 or 3 silver he had left over, he got some for the party. But they also saw that kind of like that fear, like in his eyes. They were worried, like he was worried that even after they'd given him the money and he'd bought in the food, they were just gonna take it from him. They were, just gonna yank away that hope they'd only recently given to him. And there's even those moments that, because of circumstances I couldn't put in. Had they gone to his room at the inn that they were staying, they would have noticed his bed sheet was off, and he was like nowhere to be found. Had they looked up, they would have found him in the rafters. Just, to him, that's the safest place. Being on the ground. If someone breaks into your house into the slums, typically they're not gonna, look in the rafters for stuff. They're gonna, tear down walls and or whatever they can find to try to rob you. But that was where he felt safe. It didn't happen, but it's one of those things, like it still exists even if the players don't see it. I guess also like a thing that makes a bad NPC would be like just making them too stereotypical, like a dwarf, being this master smith, spent hundreds of years working on his craft and can make magical weapons like it's nothing. Nah, that's boring. Honestly, like how many of those in like TV and movie and other campaigns have there been? Change it up a little bit. Make it like, he doesn't deal with you, but his like gnome apprentice is more than willing to do business with you guys. Is more than willing to just even help them out, even if he doesn't get paid, or just do something that makes them stand out. And it doesn't have to be this like deformity or this huge character trait. It could be the subtle things. It could be like, they never look into others' eyes. You really don't know why, but it could be, they were so used to dealing with cultists and people who could just strike fear into them by like just looking into their eyes, that now they always just look down. They always in that constant state of fear around others, just because they don't ever want to go back to that place. I don't know. Have a ranger who can't shoot, who likes to get up in people's faces with knives or with a sword, because they were kicked. They like, if it's an elves in kind of like media and I guess in the lore, they're always good archers. But what happens when one of them isn't? What happens when one of them has the shaky hands and they can't hold a bow properly? They're, that's constant ridicule. That's that's something big in their life. That's not just like, oh, they're an elf that can't shoot. There's something behind it. There is, emphasis on them being more than the cardboard cutouts they can be. Because, no one's ever going to be super mad if an NPC doesn't, blow them away. But everyone is going to love the NPC that does. When you do manage to find that sweet spot, that, that just moment of grand inspiration that you need to just make something great, your players will love it too. Like, and if they don't, then goddamn, why are you doing this? I dungeon, I'm a dungeon master because I love creating a world. I love sharing that world with others. And if they can't appreciate it, then why would I do this? Why would I gift them something like that only to have it kind of be looked down on? You know, I put a lot of work into it. And if, you know, it's not respected, it's not worth doing. Like, it's fun, but it's also, you know, it's pretty personal. Like, every NPC, you know, with meaning is almost like a small reflection of yourself. I mean, you can't just be like, oh, you know, they know pain from like this point of view. You've had to have one point or another experienced something like that. You can't just be like, oh, you know, the master sword fighter just, you know, lost the arm and they become depressed. Like, imagine if you were a writer and all of a sudden you broke your hand, and the one thing that you were great at, the one thing that you loved in this life, was suddenly taken away from you. And, and I'm not saying now, like, now we have computers and stuff and that helps, but like back when, like, you know, ink and pen were what you had, that would devastate someone. That would hurt someone, like, to a degree that's unimaginable to a lot of people that haven't experienced something like that. And I don't know. It's just how I see it. I mean, I kind of rambled on for a few minutes. I'm super tired. It's been a long day, and I just felt like making this video. So, if you guys like it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it with anyone who you think would like it, and have a wonderful day. That's it. I'm probably not gonna really edit this too much, and probably just gonna post it like, I don't know. It's like 11:15 on a Sunday, so I'll probably post it somewhere around then. All right. Have a wonderful day, night, whatever. See you guys next time.